Welcome again, everyone, to another spotlight. Today, I get the very fortunate opportunity to interview one of my favorite people on campus, Tina Mendoza. Tina, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Tina Mendoza. I'm the graduate program coordinator for the computer science department.
How long have you been in the role, Tina?
So in computer science, I'm coming up on 5 years in November. As a grad program coordinator on campus, it's almost 8 years. And I've been at the U of A as a staff member for almost 18.
So you've been here at the in Tucson for how long? How long have you been at the? I know you said 18 years in the university, but how long have you been in Tucson?
I moved to Tucson in 1999 from Phoenix.
Right. And what's your hometown?
Hamilton, Ohio. It's in the southwestern corner, kind of tri-state area near Cincinnati.
What's something people might be interested in knowing about you that they may not generally know about you?
Hmm. As a young adult, I used to do things like firefighting and stunt shows and kind of adventurous things like that. I like sports a lot. My first sport was gymnastics. And as an adult, I learned a lot about Irish dancing.
That sounds like a wide breadth of interests and experiences. So, what ultimately led you here?
Well, we moved to Tucson. So I moved here with my husband and son, um, in 99. We kind of worked as we were growing our family. I kind of was working in retail and food service. And I didn't really have an opportunity to go to school beyond community college when I was younger. And so then I applied to the U of A, completed a bachelor's degree, and um, then returned as staff. So that's kind of how I ended up here as an employee.
So, you earned your degrees at the University of Arizona. Why did you particularly decide to attend the U of A, and what degrees did you earn?
Well, I mean, it's obviously an amazing school. So it was really a privilege to be able to be a student here. I was happy to be admitted. As an undergraduate, I studied, I think like most students do, they rarely land on one major and continue doing that all the way through. It's kind of an exploratory experience, even when you're a non-traditional student like myself who started much older than most people do. But I started out studying physical education, and then I changed my major to pre-nursing, but my big interest was languages, and so I completed a degree in linguistics. So after that, I did some graduate coursework at Harvard and then came back to the U of A. I worked as staff, and then eventually I completed an MLIS in the Knowledge River program.
That's great that you were able to find your path to the interests that you had. So, you got your bachelor's in linguistics, got your master's in MLIS, in Library Information Studies. During those times when you were a student, what were some of your favorite, what would be your favorite memory of your time as a student?
Yeah, I think it's really hard to narrow it down to one. And like I said, I didn't have the typical experience that people, when they go through directly from high school, have. So I didn't have a dorm or like a lot of social interaction with other students. But I did really enjoy my courses. Lots of the professors here are very entertaining as well as extremely intelligent and are good teachers. For undergrad, I really liked my one-on-one meetings with my thesis advisor, Andrew Carney. And I think for the master's degree, again, all of the instructors are exceptional. But one of my favorite courses in that program was a course on preservation, and it's offered over the summer. And every week we went on a field trip where you learned hands-on things like book binding, book repairs. You got to learn about the differences between like how someone who runs the archives at a photography archive needs a special skill set that's different from, books or documents. And in that way, it kind of expanded my idea of what someone in the information sciences could do and how that might intersect with needing a doctorate in chemistry, for example, to keep pictures from deteriorating or films. So that was pretty interesting.
It does sound very interesting. And that memory of, or having multiple memories and experiences must have been very valuable to your current position. What about a favorite memory as a staff? Obviously, you're still a staff and you're still hopefully creating a lot of wonderful memories. But is there a memory or a few that stand out as a staff member at the university?
I would say like too many to name or to choose. Like I really value the relationships I have with my coworkers. We have a lot of fun. We get a lot of work done, but it's the little moments in between that are so meaningful to me.
It's so great. What is it? Life is what you are doing when you're busy making plans. And I think all those little
Yeah,
moments in between that you're talking about are right on.
exactly.
You alluded to this a little bit already. Everybody kind of has a unique path to their positions, their story, if you will. Can you tell us a little bit more about your story? How did you end up getting in this role?
Well, so I think my kind of foot in the door was being a student employee in the communication department, while I was here doing my undergrad. And then after getting the degree, that opened some doors to different kinds of jobs. So I had the opportunity to be a regional office manager at a nonprofit, and they have their main hub here in Tucson, but lots of offices nationwide. And I feel like that gave me additional skills then to be able to apply to the university. And so I started out as an admin associate in the communication department where I had been a student employee. And then one of my very dear friends retired. She was the graduate program coordinator there, and I was lucky enough to move into that position. And I felt like I really found my niche there working with graduate students, and I enjoyed that a lot.
You've obviously, that's your primary focus, working with students. For those folks that may not know what a graduate program coordinator is, can you tell us a little bit about what that position entails? What do they do?
Um, well, it really touches on every aspect of the graduate program. So that's helping interested people who want to apply get their applications in, going through the admissions process with the faculty committee, supporting those students while they're here, helping them go through their benchmarks and be successful in the program. And then ultimately their graduation. It can be alumni relations, and it can be things such as, supporting students and finding ways to work through policy to keep them in the program when they experience, difficulties in life. And then lots of other things as well, such as program assessment, where I help to, take a look along with the faculty at our graduate program and the success of it.
So there's a lot for a graduate program coordinator to do on a daily basis, on a yearly basis. So a lot of different challenges and lots of important activities towards the department, the college, and the university. What's your favorite aspects of being a graduate program coordinator?
Definitely my interactions with the students are my favorite part. When they come in either with a success story or needing help, it's just nice to talk to them and see what their experience has been like, try to find ways that we can improve that experience for them, celebrate with them when they have something great, like they've progress through a milestone in their degree. So it's just the connection with the students that I really enjoy.
And it's very important that students are able to connect with you regularly, both for appointments and to have that emotional bond with you to make sure that they know that you're a support system for them. I think that's very important. Now, you started in the graduate program coordinator role in 2018, and in computer science, you started in 2021. It's been a while since you first started in the graduate program coordinator role. How has that role evolved?
Well, I think that answer could depend on like which program or which group of students you're working with. Like the students in computer science are very different from the ones that I worked with in communication, but there are lots of similarities as well. I think that just maybe what the university goes through as a whole affects every job on campus. And so um, being able to evolve through difficult processes or situations on campus has definitely been a continuing feature throughout my time here. And so, I mean, that could be like long-term changes with the university, or it could even be with a single student where something in their life changes and you have to help them pivot quickly. So, in some ways you evolve slowly over time, or the position does, and in other ways it can evolve in a matter of minutes.
In your role, have you noticed uh, any evolution of the student population themselves? For example, when I used to do undergraduate advising with chemistry and biochemistry, the percentage of students that came in with AP or advanced placement exams was much smaller than it is now. It's evolved to have, these access to these classes a lot more. Have you noticed any trends or evolution of the student population in the graduate level?
I I think that our student population kind of evolves according to what is hot in the computer science research area. Um, as far as incoming students, I have seen a slight rise in our accelerated master's program students. So we're always happy to have those applications and those students continue on with us for a degree. But yeah, I mean, it just kind of can be anything from year to year as far as like a lot of students, fewer students, where in the world they come from, and what their research focus is going to be. That's the kind of thing that changes over time.
That makes a lot of sense, especially when you know that the field itself is evolving, so you expect the students to evolve kind of with it, in line with it.
Yeah.
You've given back to the university in your role as graduate program coordinator in a few ways. And one that I want to make sure that we get a chance to talk about is your work on the University of Arizona Graduate Council. Tell us about your work on that important group.
Okay. So the Graduate Council is made up mostly of faculty representatives. There's also representation from the Graduate and Professional Student Council. And then there are always a couple of graduate program coordinators on the council to represent GPCs across campus. And so the purpose of the council is to have a forum where graduate education issues can be discussed. And so that might look like, evaluating programs, like if a new program is proposed or a change to an existing program is proposed, then our work would be in between meetings to thoroughly review those proposals and consider if it would have any effect on the larger campus or other programs, and to try to talk about whether that change would be a good change or not. And ultimately, I believe that the mindset of the council while I was on it was, will this benefit students? That's kind of where the interest mainly was, is doing right by the graduate students. And then also, I mean, it took a not insignificant, time commitment to review those, and also to run the proposals or ideas by other GPCs, because, technically I was representing them and needed to hear some input, and all of that takes a lot of time.
Thank you for providing that feedback, and it's important for the councils to have a strong advocate for the GPC role as well as advocating for students, which you've done tremendously and continue to do so. Students come to you for all sorts of things, to celebrate their successes, to discuss their upcoming plans, to ask questions about admissions. How do I talk to a faculty member about their particular research and so on for advice? They will come to you when they experience some hardship when they're at the U of A. So what is your approach to helping those type of students, those students that encounter an unexpected hardship or a hardship in general?
So I think the most important thing is to be a good listener. Like, you need to give students time and space to discuss openly what their needs are. And if you don't listen very well, or you don't leave like enough silence and space and time for them to say things, because sometimes they're difficult things to say, then you can start thinking you know what the problem and solution is, but you really don't. And so that's a really important first step, is to be a good listener. And then from there, it's handy to know what the policies on campus are and what the resources on campus are, so that you can kind of on the spot lay out to the student some possible pathways they can take, and to be sure to let them know how long each option would be available for them, and to try to get support for them. So those are tough conversations sometimes, but I'm really happy when I can provide some relief, because usually there's something that we can do. And when I see the student just relax and feel like, okay, I'm going to be okay, then that just really makes me feel good and happy that they're going to be okay.
And that's why you're so great at your position, Tina. That's why I would argue you're a GOAT, greatest of all time at your position. So spring is a very busy time for our graduate program coordinators across campus, because it's an important time for admissions, where you're meeting with, discussing, answering questions about the admissions requirements, you're reviewing applications, you're helping make decisions about which students to make offers to. So what advice would you give a student that's considering the computer science program, the graduate program at the University of Arizona?
Well, I would say do all that you can while you're an undergraduate to set yourself up well for applying to graduate school. I'm always happy to talk to undergrads if they want to come in and have a discussion about what their plans are. And you do need to prepare and apply sooner than you think. You typically will see applications open about a year before the program would begin, and the deadline is typically, in January of the same year that you would begin a program in the fall. So there's a little bit of work that goes into it. You'll need to really do some soul searching to develop your statement of purpose. It's sometimes people think of it more like a quick cover letter, and it really needs to be more than that. You really need to have a well thought out plan and think about what you want to accomplish in grad school and what your reason for applying would be. And then I would also recommend getting research opportunities as an undergrad anywhere you can, even like an independent study or just a one-off project, but to do something research related. And that serves two purposes. It does help your application, but it also helps you understand if you want to go to grad school because they are research degrees. And it's good to know if you love research or not before you go down that road.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to find out that you don't like research when you're in the middle of a PhD program.
Yeah.
Um, well, as we start wrapping up this interview, Tina, is there anything else you want to share with people who are viewing this interview, the spotlight?
Um, I guess I would say a couple of things. One is um, really consider graduate school. I think far too many students think, oh, I can never do that, when really they're actually very good students. And so, maybe you already know that's not for you, but if you're thinking about it, I mean, really reach out and come see me because lots of times students are ready for it, they're qualified for it, and maybe just don't have the confidence to apply or just have never considered themselves in that role. And the other thing is when your students take care of each other, it's always better to go through supporting someone and having their support in return. And these connections that you make in college will oftentimes last your lifetime and help with your career in the future.
Well, thank you, Tina, for sharing that. Um, and on a programming note, folks that are watching this, I encourage you to also be on the lookout for a new series that we're working on called Martina and Tina Walking, or Tina and Martine Walking. We'll be talking about a variety of topics that are relevant for folks to know about the department, anything that you might have questions about. We go walk our beautiful campus and answer those questions. So please be on the lookout for that. And I know I've said it already, and I've said it all the time. Thank you again, Tina, for doing everything that you do for the department. I truly believe you are a GOAT, greatest of all time in this position, and I'm very lucky to be a part of your team. So
Oh,
thank you again.
thanks.